distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. We start this function with the Australian National Anthem. Please rise. Please remain standing when I call upon His Grace Bishop Abner Daniel for 1 minute silence and say a few words.
In the name of God, the Father, Only Begotten Son, and the Holy Spirit, would like to thank the Lord for this opportunity to be here today to honor one of the Egyptian people who honored Egypt, whom we are proud of, and we are proud of our country, Egypt. I was given 1 minute to talk. In 1 minute, I would like to say Professor Rifaat is a message, living message for every one of us to love education and help humanity and the whole world. We pray to God to support him and all people who love the education and the excellence. Egypt is the country which taught the world many things. I would like to mention what Egypt contributed to the whole world. Egypt is the first country that taught the whole world the moral law. In Egypt, the science of medicine and pharmacology was established. The first doctor in the whole world was Egyptian, and his name was Haysirah. And the word pharmaca is an Egyptian word meaning the house of healing. So pharmacology means the science of healing, our house healing. Egypt taught the world how to enjoy the feasts. For example, the feast of the birth of Osiris, which was in the 25th of December. The old Egyptian in that day used to put the tree of the birth of Osiris. Now we experience this in the modern age, the Christmas tree. Also, the Egyptians are the first nation to celebrate the feast of resurrection. For example, Osiris and his ascension to heaven after his death, to be, importantly, the Lord of judgment in the divine court in heaven. So there was a court, there is a punishment, there is a reward in Egypt. Last thing, also the Egyptians are the first nation in the world to issue the laws in the whole world. Let me say this important piece of information. Hur Muhib is the one who established the law of human rights before centuries. And what happened in that era? Ramses III came to Hur Muhib and said, I want to change this article in the constitution. And the high judge in the court said to him, you need to know, Your Excellency, you are the king. However, the law is above the word of the king. And the king apologized to the high court judge. This is Egypt. And now we have the son of Egypt, Professor Rifaat Ebied. Why I said these things about Egypt? Because Professor Ebied came from Egypt, a great nation, and we are proud of him. He published 20 books and 110 articles. He has worked tirelessly with the help of God, in honesty, in all dimensions, not only in the Coptic community. And he's working for the human beings, not only for himself. And also he's working with the spirit of love. Professor Rifaat, Dr. Bahia, thank you for having the Coptic Orthodox Church here today. And may God bless this function. Glory be to God forever. Amen.
Amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, to proceed with the presentation of the awards to Professor Ebied, I call upon the representatives of the award givers, if they're available here. They're in attendance. Please come and join us here to give the awards to. We'll start with our Archbishop, please. The Honorable Shaukat Muslimani.
Well, thank you very much, Bahia and Professor Emil, for the opportunity to present this token of our appreciation to Professor Rifaat Ebied. Can I first, I've been given a couple of minutes to say a few words. Can I first acknowledge traditional owners of the land and pay my respects to their elders past and present, acknowledge Mr. Ray Williams here with us, and your Grace Bishop Daniels, and also our representative from the Medan community, and the consul, deputy consul, or consul from the Egyptian consulate, and the Iraqi consul here, and others, and many other distinguished members of our community. Thank you very much for coming. I hope you do enjoy the day. It's a very special day with our friend Professor Rifaat Ebied here at Parliament House. It's the oldest parliament in the country, with over a couple of hundred years of continuous democracy happening here at New South Wales. So as you can see, it's a beautiful building and a beautiful facility, and it's available not only for the parliamentarians but also for the community. Whenever you wish to use these facilities, you are always welcome. It is certainly a pleasure for me to be presenting this certificate on behalf of Edmund Atalla. Edmund unfortunately couldn't be here with us this afternoon, but there is a certificate that I will present on his behalf. And there's also a certificate that I will present on my behalf. I couldn't let the opportunity go without recognizing and giving something special to Professor Rifaat Ebied. If you have a look at his CV, it's almost a book. It's almost a booklet, and it's something to be absolutely proud about. And I also acknowledge Jihad Dib, my colleague, coming in, and welcome Jihad. Professor Ebied, if you look at his CV, a phenomenal individual, and I can understand why His Grace Bishop Daniels calls him an Egyptian treasure. He is a treasure with so much knowledge, many languages, many university degrees behind him, and many articles, many books that he's written, as His Grace has already alluded to. But most importantly, he's a real academic, a genius at academia, who's taught many years at Sydney University, but also taught in London, taught in Holland, and other countries, and Egypt, of course, and many other countries. So he's a real individual to recognise, and Bahia has chosen the right person to recognise and really appreciate.
Egypt.
And this is Egypt. So congratulations, Professor Rifaat Ebied, on your achievement, and congratulations for the community for being here as well.
I think we'll present the awards, the second half of the awards, later on. Now that we have some members of Parliament, unfortunately, due to their responsibilities, they cannot stay with us for too long, so they have to proceed with the program while they're with us. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it is my delightful duties to welcome some dignitaries and outstanding figures, personalities with us. It's a long list, please bear with us, but it's an honourable duty. The Honourable John Ajaka, President of Legislative Council of New South Wales. The Honourable Victor Michael Dominello, MP. The Honourable Ray Williams, MP. The Honourable David Clark, MP. The Honourable Shaukat Muslimani, MLC. The Honourable Edmund Atalla, represented by Honourable Shaukat Muslimani. Honourable Mr. Luke Foley, represented by the Honourable Mr. Jihad Dib. The Honourable Jihad Dib also is with us. His Eminence Archbishop Mr. Malatius Melki, His Grace Bishop Anba Daniel, and Very Reverend Matthew Atiyah. His Excellency Bishop Antoine Sherbil Tarabai, represented by Reverend Lubnan Tarabai. His Eminence Archbishop Basilios Kotsi, represented by Reverend Lawyer Ephraim Abbasi. His Excellency Father Superior Louis Furch. His Excellency Reverend Dr. Daniel Fanous. And Gansibra Dr. Haytham, the Mandayan community. Sister Ilham Jaja. His Excellency Dr. Ali Karishan, Ambassador of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. His Excellency Izzat Abdul Hadi, represented by Mr. Isa Shawish. His Excellency Mr. Nabil Lakhal, His Excellency Yasir Mahmoud Ebied, His Excellency Mohammed Faraghan, Deputy Consul General of the Republic of Egypt in Sydney, His Excellency Ali Witwit, represented by Mr. Mahmoud Al-Mashdani, Vice Consul, His Excellency Mr. Abdul Majid Yusfani, His Excellency Mr. Salman Hazza Al-Mutari, His Excellency Mr. Mayor Dabbar, His Excellency Mr. Soon Tek Lim and Professor Diane Speed, Professor Yixu Lu, Mrs. Rose Sorial, Mr. Magdi Fuad Bulus, poet Sharb al-Baini, and members of the media, and members of the Australian Egyptian Forum Council. To all of you, warm and hearty welcome. Thank you. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I acknowledge the traditional owners of the land and pay respect to their elders past and present. We are here today to celebrate the outstanding achievements of Professor Rifaat Ebied. Before we commence our program to honor Professor Ebied, I would like to acknowledge the endeavors of Dr. Betty Abu Hamad, the founder and president of the Association for the Development of Arabic Folk Poetry in Australia and the Arab world, in initiating this function today. I now call upon Dr. Bahia Abu Hamad to say a few words.
Hello, good afternoon. Everyone's happy today? Your Honorable Ray Williams, thank you very much for your presence. I'm not going to recite the whole names. It's a long list, and I thank you for your presence, being ambassadors from several countries. Thank you, Your Excellencies, members of Parliament, Sayyidna Ibloyiti Despota, poets, lawyers, professors, doctors, representatives of associations, president of association, reverend fathers, builders. Each and every person is important, and I value your time and appreciate your help by being with us today. It's a noble moment today, and I'm very proud of having Egypt and Australia in this beautiful Parliament room being honored today. With utmost pride, we enter this honorable Parliament from its large door, which widely open and at all times, to preserve in literature and heritage and honor intellectuals. Today, we are gathering at the precincts of this Parliament for a noble moment, that is, to proudly honor an astute professor who is labeled as the king of alphabet and the crown of the word, and to utterly present our sincere appreciation and greatest respect to his distinguished achievements and eminent outstanding in Semitic studies. Professor Rifaat Ebied is indeed a pyramid from Egypt and a precious and unique icon from Australia, a man of all times with a great nobility and rare qualities, who has excelled throughout the years with his long and rich journey with literature and languages ranging from Arabic, Islamic studies, Hebrew, French, Syriac, you name it. I'll stand here for half an hour reciting languages of the professor. Even he speaks the language of pharaohs. Don't know how to. Professeur, chez nous vous êtes un roi, adorable, et toujours à la frontière. Faites fonder votre domaine avec la littérature et les langages sémitiques. Et par la grâce de Dieu, Tout-Puissant pour fonder votre réussite. Comme une madone qui se met debout, comme d'habitude, sourit et pardonne. اليوم وبكل فخر ندخل هذا الصرح الكريم ومن بابه الواسع الذي شرع أبدا لنشر الثقافة ودعم العلم ومناصرة المبدعين لنحقق هدفا نبيلا ألا وهو تكريم مبدع نهل من بيادر الحرف لغة ومن رونق الكلمة أدبا ومن رحيق الكلمات منبرا اعتلاه نجما وافترشه زهوا ليؤكد أنه ملك الحرف وسيد المنبر ورائد الكلمة. إنه البروفيسور رفعت عبيد هرم من مصر وأيقونة ثمينة من أستراليا وقامة شامخة في عالم الأدب والثقافة والعلم وهامة نادرة أبدعت حرفا ولغة وكلمة وأدبا وتاريخا عريقا نفتخر به في كل حين وننهل العلم والإبداع من لغاته السامية. كل الشكر والثناء لشخصكم الكريم بروفيسور عبيد. أعطاكم الله العمر المديد والتوفيق والنجاح. I thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for everything you've done for us today and the hope you bestowed upon us. Thank you very much. May God bless you, Professor Sayyidina, all your blessings. Thank you very much for each and every one present here.
And now, representing the Honourable Mr. Luke Foley, I present to you the Honourable Mr. Jihad Deeb, Member of the Legislative Assembly and Member for Lakemba, Shadow Minister for Education. Good to see you.
You too. How are you? Well, good afternoon, everybody. I tell you what, I don't think I can do Bahir's French, and my Arabic is not as good, but there's another language, which is a swear language I speak quite well, but not appropriate here today. To my parliamentary colleagues, the Honourable Ray Williams, Minister for Multiculturalism and Disability Services, to my parliamentary colleague in the Labor Party and Opposition Whip in the Legislative Council, Shaukat Mosilmani, and to the diplomatic corps here. Nice to see you here, Mohammed. I saw you only a couple of days ago at the Egyptian Independence Day, and of course Bishop Grace Daniel. Nice to see you again, Archbishop Daniel is milking, and representing also the Ahmadiyya community and a number of the other religious leaders. Thank you very much for being here. To the academics, thank you very much for being here. Bahir, and to the Folklore Association. This is again another one of the installments of celebrating the wonderful Arabic culture, Arabic history, but also some of the Arabic people who have made a great contribution to Australia. And I know that with Shaukat and I, we've hosted a number of these together. Where it's been bipartisan. We've seen the minister here, we've seen representatives of both sides of government to make sure that this is a celebration. Now, I've been asked to represent Luke, to read out something on behalf of Luke Foley, who's not able to make it today. He's got a few things on, and I said I'd be happy to read this message. So I'm just going to read this message from Luke Foley, the Leader of the Opposition. It is with great pleasure to be able to extend my support to all guests as you celebrate the many achievements of Professor Rifaat Ebied, Foundation Professor of Semitic Studies at the University of Sydney. The Semitic languages are considered to be one of humanity's earliest written languages. These are also considered to be the first languages in the alphabet form of writing, representing the most revolutionary development in the history of writing and language. Semitic languages are among the richest languages of the world in the preservation and dissemination of ancient documents, the most famous of all being the Hebrew Bible. Professor Rifaat Ebied's dedication and ongoing contribution to Semitic studies, with special reference to Arabic, Islamic, Hebrew, and Syriac studies in particular, should be celebrated. On behalf of New South Wales Labor, I wish all guests a most enjoyable and memorable event as you come together to celebrate the many achievements of Professor Ebied. Yours sincerely, Luke Foley, New South Wales Leader of the Opposition. I know that we want to get to the handing out things, and I'll tell you what, Professor Ebied, I hope you've got a ute. I hope you've got a ute. You're not catching a train home, are you? Because you might need a ute to be able to take. Okay, you might need a ute to be able to take all of those things. But I suppose what they say is this. This is an acknowledgement of what you have done, and what a wonderful place to be acknowledged in the New South Wales Parliament, the oldest parliament in Australia, a place where we recognise the commitment and achievement that people make. So for everybody who's presented something today, thank you very much. I know Professor Ebied is a very humble person. I know that he doesn't go out of his way to seek these sorts of acknowledgements, certainly not. But I'll say one thing, as a young person of Arabic background, I never met Professor Ebied, but I knew that there was an Arabic person who was a lecturer in the University of Sydney, and a young person who had started things up. Now that was a great motivation and a great inspiration, because many, many years ago, there weren't many people of Arabic backgrounds who had positions similar to yours, and I think that's something that we all need to celebrate. We all need to acknowledge. As the younger ones get a little bit older and get into an opportunity where they can acknowledge and represent you, I think this is a wonderful opportunity. So, on behalf of all those people, Professor Ebied, that you will never meet, but they were inspired by you and they're motivated by you, thank you. And thank you also for hosting as part of the Cultural Forum, and I know there's many members of it here, something every single year that celebrates also the achievements of young students who do exceptionally well. We held it this year at the University of Sydney. Many similar guests were there. When we celebrate and value education, then what we're doing is we're building towards the better future. When we remember parts of our heritage and part of our histories, we're not taking away anything. We're not being any less Australian. What we're actually doing is we're becoming better Australians, because the strength of our nation is in the diversity that we all bring. Nobody should be asked to leave their heritage at the front door. And I've said this many a time before. It actually strengthens us. So Professor Ebied, every time you walk into that university, every time your name is heard, there'd be a young person, and it could be of any culture that's a non-English speaking background, who's inspired and is motivated. So today, congratulations. It's a great honour to be here. I think with the outstanding representation that you have here, you see the esteem that you held in. And to be here, and Emil, who always seems to be the MC, and to everybody who's involved in the celebration of folkloric and cultural history, thank you very much. It's such an important place to be held in. The oldest parliament in a library. What more academic could you have? Wish you all the very best of it.
We have a message from the Honourable Mark Speakman, Member of Parliament, MP, that's Member for Cronulla, Attorney General. I congratulate Professor Rifaat Ebied on being honoured by the Association for the Development of Arabic Folk Poetry in Australia and the Arab world for his services to literature and languages. As among other things, Foundation Professor Ebied of Semitic Studies at the University of Sydney, someone published extensively in Semitic studies, generally in Arabic, Islamic, Hebrew, Syriac studies in particular, and an editor, associate editor, or advisor or editorial board member for many international scholarly associations and journals. Professor Ebied is clearly an outstanding leader in his field and very deserving of the honors that have been bestowed on him throughout his long and distinguished career. Mark Speakman. I now call upon the Member of the Legislative Assembly, Member for Castle Hill, Minister for Multiculturalism, Minister for Disability Services, the Honourable Ray Williams, MP.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Can I, first of all, and very respectfully acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land? Can I acknowledge my parliamentary colleague, Shaket Mosalmani, who's here, and also Jihad Dib, Your Grace, Bishop Daniel, Bishop Malky, respective leaders and representatives of their consular corps of Egypt and Iraq, but the community in general, and what a wonderful roll-up it is today to acknowledge the work by Professor Rifaat Ebied. And I think it is testament, Professor, to the messages that have already been sent to you by the many, many leaders in the New South Wales Parliament, by the members of Parliament that are present today, by the religious leaders that are here, and the great respect that you have for the work that you have undertaken. I have a myriad of messages from people such as Victor Dominello, from my Premier, the Honourable Gladys Berejiklian. There is any amount of messages here, but perhaps what I might do in sending you their very best wishes and their congratulations on the over 40 years of extensive work that you have undertaken on behalf of language and literary, perhaps I might just thank you myself on behalf of everybody and just acknowledge the enormous and productive translating medieval texts and your contribution to the new editions of the Encyclopedia of Islam and editing scholarly journals. In addition to this work, you have worked at Sydney University, served on the Australian Egypt Council Forum and chair of the Arabic Examiners Panel, and with the National Accreditation Authority for Translators and Interpreters, or NATI. Your expertise has helped shape the Arabic language curriculum in New South Wales, and you've also contributed to the new edition of the Syriac Bible, which is being prepared by scholars of the Pashidi project. We've also been very, very fortunate to have your knowledge and experience, and it is wonderful to see those contributions honoured by the Association of the Development of Poetry and Heritage. And look, I would just like to join with everybody in congratulating this enormous contribution that you've made. As I've said before, there is any amount of testimonials that I could read out here. Time would forbid me from doing that. But it is just absolutely an enormous amount of work over 40 years, and your contribution is absolutely immense. It is with absolute great pleasure and pride that I say on behalf of the entire New South Wales Parliament that we are very, very proud, not only to join with you, but certainly proud of your great achievements and what you have undertaken on behalf of heritage and language. So thank you very much, Professor. Well, and there is another message there from the Premier that is there, Professor. And look, perhaps, if you would just allow me to indulge, because the Premier, she writes some lovely messages, and it is with a great pleasure that the Premier commends you and the Association for the Development of Arabic Folk Poetry in Australia and the Arab world as you honour Professor Rifaat Ebied, Foundation Professor of Semitic Studies at the University of Sydney. The Premier goes on to say that your work in the field of Semitic Studies and the translation of medieval Arabic, Syriac and Hebrew texts has played a vital role in this field of study. You have served with distinction on the National Accreditation Authority for Translators and Interpreters, as I've previously said, and as chair of the Arabic Syllabus Committee within the New South Wales Board of Studies. And on behalf of the New South Wales Government, my Premier wishes to thank you for your services to literature and languages, and that she is absolutely delighted that this work has been honoured by the Association for the Development of Arabic Folk Poetry in Australia and the Arab world. That is from our Premier, the Honourable Gladys Berejiklian. So once again, Professor, thank you so very much and congratulations. Thank you very much.
Representing the Honourable David Clark MP, Member of the Legislative Council, Parliamentary Secretary for Justice, represented by Mr. Adam Foda, Advisor to the Honourable Clark. I call upon Mr. Adam Foda.
not quite sure I can live up to those more professional speeches before me, but I'll do my best. Reverend Fathers, Members of Parliament, members of the Diplomatic Corps, academics, distinguished guests, and ladies and gentlemen. Today I welcome you all and give you the warmest welcomes to be here today at the Parliament of New South Wales. My name is Adam Foda, and as I just mentioned, I'm representing the Honourable David Clark, Parliamentary Secretary for Justice. Unfortunately, Mr Clark is unable to make this wonderful occasion today, but on behalf of Mr Clark and the Parliament of New South Wales, I would like to convey our sincere welcome and thank you firstly to Dr Betty Abu-Hamad for helping to organise this day today, as well as the Association for the Development of Poetry and Heritage, but especially to you, Professor Rifaat Ebied, for your wonderful contributions. I would like to particularly welcome you, being a Foundation Professor for Semitic Studies at the University of Sydney, to the Parliament here today. As many of you would be aware, born in 1938, also incidentally the home of my father in Egypt, Professor Ebied has had a long, unique and distinguished career in academia, having held tenures at the University of St Andrews in Scotland, the University of Leeds in England, and since 1979 at the University of Sydney here in Australia, which incidentally both Mr Clark and myself are graduates of. He's also a fellow of the Australian Academy of Humanities and an honorary professor at the Australian Catholic University. Professor Ebied is a member of over 13 academic societies, of which several he has served as chair, and the recipient of at least 10 academic honours, including the Centenary Medal in 2003 for services to Australia. Professor Ebied can also claim credit for having published 20 works, 20 books that is, and over 100 published articles relating to his tireless and extensive work in the field of Semitic studies, specifically in Arabic, Islamic, Hebrew, and Syriac studies, as well as meritorious achievements in literature and languages. For his tireless efforts and passion, Professor Ebied is without doubt a great living asset to Australia, England, Egypt, and the whole world, and his vision and contribution has impacted and enriched our society's understanding and appreciation of Semitic studies and culture for the better, not just here, but around the world. Thank you and God bless.
Now we present to you the Mr. George Bouantoun, President of the Syndicate of Lebanese Poets, addressing this gathering, and it's on the recording.
George Bouantoun is the president of the Lebanese Syndicate of Zajal in Lebanon. Zajal means poetry. We all know poetry. It's we recite it in a formal languages, whether Arabic, English, or French. But the Zajal, as we speak in a colloquial way, we sing poetry, and there's about 135 rhyme of Zajal, and it has to be punctuated towards the end of each verses, follow which you have poets with a big mouth, and they will abuse the hell of a person who does speak it improperly. So now we have the president, rather than making mistakes. Thank you, Poet Jibrin. He sent us a recording.
تعا يا شعر يا مرافق زماني، تعا خود الحقيقة عن لساني، وعي أدموس عالدرب اللي سلكها، وعطى من الحرف للكلمة ضماني، ونجوم الليل صارت من فلكها تسهر على الحروف وعلى المعاني، الكلمة حبت تكرم ملكها، وحب الحرف لرفعتي يقله انت ببلادنا ادموس تاني. جاي يقلك بكلمة وفية، انت للحرف للمبدأ قضية، كتبها المبدع بدفتر حياته بلغات القديمة الأرامية، وطبعها الجامعي بمذكراته عصفحة سمعته البيضة النقية ورسمها وحطها بجوهر صفاته بتاريخه بوقفاته الأبية. ويا كلمات الوفا من القلب هاتوا شعر يلبق لحامل هالهوية اللي حقق فعل إيمانه بثباته باسمه صار رمز المعنوية. وأنا باسم الشعر ومعلقاته بطلب من الخالق هالبرية يغمر رفعت عبيد بصلاته تيبقى عرموز الحرف يسهر وعتاريخ الثقافة العالمية.
Also, the representative of the Ambassador of Palestine in Australia. Welcome, Mr. Shawis. Thank you very much for your presence.
للشاعر والصديق شربل البعيني بمناسبة مرور 50 سنة على نشر أول كتاب له المراهقة عام 1968. وقبل أن يتكلم أود أن أقول هذه الكلمات: ما حقق اليوبيل في دنيا الفنون أغنى تراثا تزدهي فيه القرون. أعطيت في الشعر كنوزا للثرى يبقى شذاها عابقا بين الغصون. يا شاعرا أغنى القوافي بالمنى دع عنك كابوس الضنا عتم الظنون. لا تترك الحساد تجتاز الغوى قلب الحسود شعلة فيها أتون. يا رائدا أتحفت دارا خالدا بالشعر والنثر وفي كل شؤون. أدهشت كتابا بشعر خالد حققت فوق الغيم أطلقت المتون. يا من سكبت العطر في حرف الهدى بالفكر والأشعار جننت الجنون. كالنجم تختال وفي عرض السماء فانعم بمجد خالد يسبي العيون. I now present to you our poet شربل البعيني.
بشكرك بروفيسور إميل. صار المصريين معودين علي مجدي بولس مجدي الحسيني وهلا حبيب قلبي البروفيسور رفعت عبيد. طال انتظاري كي أناجيك والشعر كل الشعر أهديك. يا رفعة الأسماء في وطن بالروح حرف الضاد يفديك. أنت العبيد موسما وجنا كل المواسم أزهرت فيك. في برلمان الحق قد سطعت شمس البهاء كي تحييك. من مثلها نبراسها أبدا كرم فإن الله يجزيك. بعد الليالي زارها قمر والشمس شعت في لياليك. بعد الليالي زارها قمر والشمس شعت في لياليك. سيدني إذا أنطقتها أدبا أجيالها غنت كوافيك. والله لم تبخل على أحد كل العطايا من أياديك. إن تسأل الأهرام عن نسب مصر العظيمة من أهاليك. والله لم تبخل على أحد كل العطايا من أياديك إن تسأل الأهرام عن نسب مصر العظيمة من أهاليك يختال نيل المجد في فرح أملاكه قد جاء يسقيك يختال نيل المجد في فرح أملاكه قد جاء يسقيك حتى العروبة في مهاجرنا يا والدي صارت تناديك لاقيتنا بالنور في سفر واليوم جئنا كي نلاقيك في صدرنا قلب وأوردة إن شئت هذا القلب نعطيك علمتنا أهديتنا دررا مهما فعلنا لن نكافيك. شكرا.
I now present to you a video about Professor Ebied.
I am Rifaat Ebied, Emeritus Professor of Semitic Studies at the University of Sydney. First of all, I would like to express my deep gratitude to Dr. Bahia Abu Hamad, the President of the Association of the Development of Poetry, for the fact that she has exerted tremendous effort in organizing this event. I am really deeply indebted to her for what she has done. I want just to say a few words about the academic journey involving a large number of travels all over the world. It was indeed a very successful journey spanning well over half a century. It did include some adventures, but on the whole it was indeed very gratifying and very successful. I would also like to thank you all for taking the trouble of attending this function. My journey started really well back in the early 60s. I was born in Egypt, in Upper Egypt, in a village not far from the village where President Gamal Abdel Nasser was born, in the province of Asyut. And one of the most gratifying and pleasing incidents was the fact that I had the privilege and the honor of being honored by no less than the President of Egypt at that time, President Gamal Abdel Nasser, who very kindly awarded me with a medal, awarded me with a certificate, and also gave me 1,000 Egyptian pounds at a festival known in Egypt as Eid al-Ilm, the Feast of Knowledge, in order to honor and award students who had excelled at university education, and I was lucky enough to be one of those people. It was a wonderful occasion I can't describe to you how happy I was to have the opportunity of being awarded by such an honor by the president himself in Cairo University. Then the journey continued. I will tell you more about it in detail when I have the opportunity later in the function. The next stop in my journey took me to Great Britain. I first landed in Scotland, where I taught at the oldest University of St Andrews in Scotland. I very much enjoyed my stay in Scotland and interacting and working with some of the great scholars of Semitic studies, which is the subject I am very much interested in. Then I was lucky enough to be appointed as a lecturer later on at the University of Leeds. I'll tell you something about an adventure that happened during my stay at Leeds later on, inshallah. But during my stay in Leeds, back in 1972, one of the most pleasant occasions was the convening of the first International Conference of Syriac Studies, a subject I'm deeply interested in and have published extensively in. One of the most pleasant occasions was that the delegates at that conference who were invited to go to Rome, where that conference was held, was given the honor of meeting with His Holiness Pope Paul VI in the magnificent environment of the Vatican. And here is a picture of it, if you can depict where I am at the meeting with His Holiness Pope Paul VI during the Olympic year of 1972. I don't know whether you can recognize me, but I'll try to pin me. I think that's me. I was much younger then. Here is also another picture of me as I was just about to kiss the Pope's hand and to greet him inside the magnificent Vatican. Oh, I forgot just to say that here is just a piece of paper of an article that was published in a Telegraph in Sydney that says something about when I was honored by President Gamal Abdel Nasser, who gave me the medal and the other certificates of excellence and so on. It was a wonderful occasion. Okay, and then from Leeds, where I spent about just over 10 years as a lecturer and head of department of Semitic Studies at the University of Leeds, I was lucky enough to be appointed, and that's a long story, I'll tell you further about it later on, as the first or foundation professor of Semitic Studies at the University of Sydney. Here is an old picture, was taken actually on the 17th of November 1979, just after my arrival in Sydney. About me, I look much different then from what I do at the moment. Snippets of pictures of newspaper in the media and the Jewish Chronicle of Sydney, just to say about my appointment as the first professor of Semitic Studies at Sydney University. هاي المكتب اللي أنا كنت فيه لحوالي 30 سنة، حديته بالضبط يعني جنب المكتب الرئيسي لأعلى سلطة في الجامعة هون، وده المبنى أقدم مبنى في جامعة سيدني، اتأسست سنة 1851. One of the most eminent professors and characters in New South Wales is Dame Professor Mary Bashir, who was a fellow professor with me at Sydney University and then became Chancellor of this university, the University of Sydney, at the same time as being Governor of New South Wales. Well, this is a picture taken in the good old days in my office, in which I was for about 25 or even more than 25 years in one of the old buildings of the university with some students. You can see that I was much younger at that time than what I look at the moment. It brings back lovely memories when I was appointed at the university back in 1979. I was actually appointed in 1979 at the University of Sydney, and I've been at this beautiful university in our beautiful city of Sydney, thanks to the great luck that God awarded me with to occupy this position at the University of Sydney. And of course a lot has happened, and there has been a lot of water running under the bridge since 1979 with changes in academia and so on. During which time I collaborated a lot in my academic career with publications, with a large number of eminent scholars from all over the world, be it in Europe, in the States, in the Middle East, and so on. I was also privileged to be awarded the centenary medal by the Right Honourable John Howard, the then Prime Minister of Australia. Here is a copy of the letter that was sent me by the Right Honourable John Howard. Also, a letter was sent to me by Sandy MacDonald, National Party Senator for New South Wales, congratulating me on this award. Similarly, from the Honorable Bruce Byrd, MP, on the same lines, also writing to congratulate me on this award. As I mentioned before, I attended the first international conference on Syriac studies in the Vatican, where I had the privilege and the honor of meeting His Holiness Pope Paul VI. This is a very prestigious conference held every 4 years, coinciding with the Olympic year. I had the honor and the privilege of chairing that conference every 4 years, one of which was held in Sydney, here in our beautiful city. That was I think the 6th or 7th, I can't remember exactly, International Conference of Syriac Studies, held here at our beautiful University of Sydney, and I was the convener and the chairman of that conference. And I then had the honor of meeting the then Honorable Bob Carr, who was Premier of New South Wales, who met me actually in Homebush whilst the Olympics were being prepared in Homebush before the Olympics year, in order for me to request help with convening this prestigious conference, which was held at the university in the Great Hall, which you'll probably have occasion to see pictures of later on. And here's a picture of myself meeting the Honorable Bob Carr, Premier, then Premier of New South Wales. That's something about that symposium I mentioned that was written in an article by one of the local newspapers. I devoted the last few years in my academic endeavors at the University of Sydney to the study of Muslim-Christian relations, which is a very important topic, particularly given the events on the world stage within the last decade or two. Purely from an academic point of view, trying to contribute to alleviating the misunderstandings that have occurred in the relations between Muslims and Christians in the world. Bearing in mind that these two world religions have very common roots between them. To this end, I have been collaborating with a leading scholar in Britain, Professor David Thomas, who incidentally came to Sydney to work with me on many occasions on two very important topics related to the Muslim-Christian relations. Here is one of these. The first one, as you can see, is called Muslim-Christian relations during the Crusade back in the 13th, 14th century. The aim of authoring this book is to try to alleviate the misunderstandings and the misconceptions of what went on over the centuries of history about the relations between these two great groups of religions. The second volume, well over 500 pages, was published only recently, also about the same topic, but this time going back to the 9th century, when we discussed the polemical works of Ali al-Tabari, an Iraqi who worked in the period of Caliph al-Mutawakkil, al-Khalifa al-Mutawakkil. He died in 851 AD, and he wrote two very important works in Arabic, and my job with my colleague was to publish these works for the first time with analysis and commentary and history, again for the same purpose of alleviating misconceptions about the relations between Christians and Muslims. Here is something that was awarded to me by an association, an eminent association in America, in Los Angeles, when I had the privilege of going to give a series of lectures to this association in Los Angeles about Semitic studies and the contribution of the Semites to world civilization, and they awarded me with this item. Similarly, here is just an award I was privileged to be given by Stanford University on an occasion that Dr. Bahia Abu Hamad had organized in the Parliament of New South Wales, where we are meeting now in order to honor intellectuals and other eminent scholars and fellow Egyptians and fellow Arabic-speaking poets and so on. One more award that was given me on a similar occasion, also held here in Jubilee Room in New South Wales Parliament. Oh, I forgot to mention earlier that during my stay in Leeds, I was honored to be invited by the UNESCO of the United Nations to be one of a 15-member delegation to go to Yugoslavia, the then Yugoslavia, in order to participate and contribute to a conference about preservation of the Oriental heritage, be it in the form of Arabic, Syriac manuscripts, and so on. And as luck happened to me, I was very lucky to travel to Sarajevo from Skopje, where the conference was held, and I was also lucky to find some very important documents in the library of Sarajevo. So it was very lucky to get these documents. And from those documents, when I got back to Leeds, I made what I thought was a very, very lucky discovery. I made a discovery with a colleague of mine from the University of Leeds. He's passed away now, which was later on published in the Times in England in Le Monde de l'Éducation in France, in Al-Ahram in Egypt, and many other media places. The gist of that was that it was that discovery that led me to make what was a substantial discovery as to the origin of universities and the origin of the term baccalaureate, which I was able to prove with my colleague that it is derived from a pure Arabic phrase, بحق الرواية, and not from the Latin word vacca, which means cow, which would mean that all Bachelor of Arts are cows. But this is a purely Arabic term. I'll talk more about this, and this will be hopefully the subject which I intend, a subject of a lecture, public lecture, which Dr. Abu Hamad is working to organize it sometime in the future by myself, to talk about the immense contribution of the Arabs, both Christians and Muslims, to world civilization, be it science, medicine, mathematics, the origin of universities, higher education, and so on. Here are some snippets of what was written all over the world about this discovery. First, in Al-Jumhuriyya newspaper, with an old picture of mine. And in Al-Ahram in Cairo, talking about the origin of the term baccalaureus or baccalaureate. And then a copy of the article I published in French in Le Monde de l'Éducation in Paris. This happens to be a piece of paper that I kept on the occasion when I had the privilege and the honor of meeting and talking with the late His Holiness Pope Shenouda III of the Coptic Orthodox Church, when I met him in Egypt in the monastery of Deir Surian. It was a very gratifying and a wonderful occasion to meet His Holiness and to talk to him face to face and to learn from the knowledge of His Holiness. May I conclude by expressing my deep gratitude and thankfulness to many, many people. You, first of all, having taken the trouble to attend this event, and I wish to single out a number of people. Dr. Bahia Abu Hamad, who is the initiator of organizing this event, and particularly for the tireless efforts that she has exerted in organizing this function. Also, I would like to thank very much indeed the Honorable Jihad Deeb for the trouble he has taken and the efforts he has exerted in joining with Dr. Bahia Abu Hamad in organizing this function in this magnificent room of the Parliament of New South Wales. To you, Your Excellencies, the Honorable MPs and the many distinguished guests who have assembled now to honor me on this occasion. I would be, of course, delighted to meet with any one of you who would be available to answer any questions about this long academic journey that I have been through during the past 5 or 6 decades. May God bless Egypt, which produced me first. Bless Australia, this lovely country of ours, which has adopted me to give me the privilege and the honor to contribute to the academia all over the world during the past few decades. Thank you very much indeed.
I now call upon the Honorable Jihad Deep for the presentation of an award to Professor Ebied. Now Dr. Bahia Mohammed is presenting an award to Honorable Jihad Deep.
From the state of Vermont, Father is gifted as well from the saying, but this is from Vermont, state of Vermont. The topic of appreciation for everything you've done for us, for all your help to our business. Thank you very much. May God bless you and give it the longest life.
Representing His Excellency Yasser Mahmoud Abed, Consul General of the Republic of Egypt in Sydney, His Excellency Muhammad Farghal, Assistant to Consul General of the Republic of Egypt in Sydney.
Just if I may correct, Deputy Consul General to apologize for this, Deputy Consul General of the Republic of Egypt in Sydney. Thank you.
You know, it's a fact that diplomats envy politicians for their eloquency. And despite of this fact, I have to speak after 3 politicians and 2 poets and Dr. Rifaat Ebied himself. But you know, I will try to be as brave as Bahia because honoring a figure like Dr. Rifaat is very brave, Bahia, from you, because he is towering. And in order to honor a towering person, you have to be great. And this is what you are. But let me say this, that the next video in which you'll be honored, we will make sure at the consulate that you will have a pharaonic articraft, not just a Syriac one. I'm here, of course, on behalf of His Excellency Ambassador Yasser Ebied, Consul General of the Arab Republic of Egypt, who couldn't be able to come here today as a result of prior engagements. I have the honor to deliver the following statement of His Excellency's behalf on the occasion of holding this function in honor of Professor Rifaat Ebied, in the presence of His Grace Bishop Daniel, Bishop of the Coptic Orthodox Church, Diocese of Sydney and its affiliated regions, Dr. Bahia Mohammed, President of the Association of the Development of Poetry and Heritage, Honorable Ray Williams, Minister of Multiculturalism, Honorable Shaukat Muslimani, Member of the Legislative Council, the Honorable Gihad Deeb, Member of the Legislative Assembly, Shadow Minister of Education. Today is not a day to speak about Professor Ebied's academic genius and professionalism, as we are not in a position to gather or understand the overall contribution that he offered over decades of ingenuity, dedication, and unique scientific thinking. What we can say that his innovation and passion for language led him to the highest level of academic achievement that any scholar aspires to. Even if we try to describe his kind, benevolent, and distinguished personality, we wouldn't be able to give him what he deserves. For he has reached such richness of character and depth of knowledge about a real role in this life that would defy any serious attempt of portraying his true essence and unparalleled nature. But for sure, his genuine modesty doesn't leave much room for speculation, for it has to be driven from a really great personality. Over and above, his contributions to the work of the Egyptian community could be praised over and again, taken to new heights of compliment, and described in all forms of commendation. But we will never understand it in full, as Professor Ebied is the only one who knows what he sacrifices to organize a forum meeting or event, or attend an Egyptian community function or gathering. He is the only one who could tell us how much an academic novelty could be delayed because of the Egyptian community events, and above all, to which extent his peace of mind and body could be a victim of his majestic patriotism. The several letters he wrote to President Sisi on many occasions and got a response to is only an example of his dedication to his motherland. This leads to what should be said today. Where we are holding this function in honor of Professor Ebied, and whereas we can never give him what he really deserves because of his towering personage, there is only one conclusion to all what he is. He is an honor for his country.
Wow.
I cannot terminate without thanking Dr. Bahia Muhammad for all the great work she's doing, and especially for honoring Professor Ebied, this distinguished Egyptian figure. While wishing Professor Ebied all happiness, health, prosperity, and serenity, I would like to thank you all for being here today.
Now present to you Professor Diane Speed. Diane is the Chief Executive Officer, Sydney College of Divinity.
First of all, thank you very much, Bahia, for the invitation to be present at this very special occasion. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the Sydney College of Divinity, I'd like to congratulate Professor Rifaat Ebied on his lifetime of achievement in scholarly work in Semitic languages and literatures, and his significant contribution to multicultural understanding in Australia and beyond. It was my privilege to know Professor Ebied as a long-term colleague and outstanding researcher within the Faculty of Arts in the University of Sydney. Now, it's my great pleasure to work more closely with him in the Sydney College of Divinity, where Professor Ebied provides specialist teaching to undergraduates and postgraduates enrolled in college degrees through our newest member institution, St Cyril's Coptic Theological College, Coptic Orthodox Theological College. Professor Ebied is undoubtedly the academic leader in this country in his area of expertise. We can be very grateful that he is still engaged with educating the next generation of scholars to follow in his footsteps and to build on his seminal research. Thank you very much, Professor.
Professor Rifaat Ebied is a present Emeritus Professor of Semitic Studies at the University of Sydney. He is also an Honorary Professor of the Australian Catholic University and the Sydney College of Divinity. He is currently President of the Australian Egyptian Forum Council and a Fellow of the Australian Academy of Humanities. Professor Ebied published extensively in the field of Semitic studies in general and Arabic, Islamic, Hebrew and Syriac studies in particular. His publications include numerous books and articles, edited Arabic and Syriac medieval text, as well as various entries in the new edition of the Encyclopedia of Islam. He served as a chair of the Arabic Examiners Panel of the National Accreditation Authority for Translators and Interpreters, NATI, from 1981 until 2006, and is currently a member of this panel. He also served as a chair of the New South Wales Regional Advisory Committee in the 1980s, as chair of the Arabic Syllabus Committee and the Arabic Examination Committee of the New South Wales Board of Studies from 1981 to 2001. He was instrumental in designing a number of Arabic courses offered at the High School Certificate HSC in New South Wales and nationally. And before I present to you Professor Ebied, I'd like to say a few words from myself and my experience with him. I'll be very brief. He once said to me, I don't know if he recalls.
He is a student of Professor Ebied. That's one secret. Continue.
I don't know if he recalls. He said to me about 30 years ago at university, he said, Neil, you should do your doctorate degree. I said, why? He said, people will listen to you then. And once you've got your degree, you will change the world. I've got it. I haven't changed the world. No one listens to me. في العلم والأبحاث حققت المنى. في العلم والأبحاث حققت المنى. في قمة التاريخ شيدت البنى. من غرسة الأفكار من وحي الهدى خير دليل للنجاح والجنى. حلقت جنب المجد في دار العلا. توجت أجيالا بآلات السنة. لاقوا نجاحا زاهرا فوق الربا. ما بين طلاب النجاح ها أنا. يا مصر، يا مصر أنت المجد منك قد ارتوى، وبنيلك الفياض أنعشت الفنا. يكفيك فخرا بالعبيد تألقا، كم أحيا أجيالا وكم فيها اعتنى. كم أغنى أبحاثا وأسدى نصائحا، منها المكاتب تجتني كنز الغنى. كم زحى عنا غمائما وهواجسا، كي يستريح العلم من عبء الضنا. كم أعطى والعرفان يشهد أنه قد يستحق فوق أوسمة الثنى. إن جئنا للتكريم هاتوا قصيدة تهديه عرفانا وأحلام الهنا. فالكل أنت بيننا يا معلم، لن ننسى كم كنت تحاضر بيننا. أعطيتنا زاد الكلام جواهرا، للفكر للآداب خير المقتنى. لا، لم تكن من أجل نفسك، إنما قد كنت يا أستاذنا الراقي لنا. علمتنا اللغات حيثما نلتقي، لنترجم الأفكار ما دامت بنا. العلم منك منارة ورسالة، تشدو مباديها لمرجع علمنا. يا ليتني مثل البلابل منشدا، لأجيد في التكريم ألحان الغنى. متمنيا في ذا النهار تمنيا، لمعلم الأجيال من أحلى المنى. آمنا فيك رسالة ومحبة، أنت العبيد رصيدنا وضميرنا. فالكل آمن أن علمك جوهر، أنت العبيد فلن تخيب ظننا. فالكل آمن أن علمك جوهر، أنت العبيد فلن تخيب مؤمنا. جئنا نقول إلى النجوم مقولة، كم أنت أعطيت لتبرز نجمنا. لولا دعوناها لحفلك دعوة، تركت سماها وأصبحت تشدو هنا. بكل فخر واعتزاز أقدم لكم أستاذ الكبير أستاذ رفعت عبيد.
Thank you very much indeed. You really were. Dr. Bahia Abu Hamad, President of the Association for the Development of Arabic Poetry and Heritage, the Honorable Jihad Deeb, MP Shadow Minister for Education, the Honorable Shaukat Muslimani, Opposition Whip in the Legislative Council of New South Wales, His Grace Bishop Daniel, Bishop of Sydney and affiliated regions, honorable members of Parliament and members of the Legislative Assembly, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, Consul General, Consuls, His Excellency Muhammad Farghal, Deputy Consul of the Arab Republic of Egypt, Your Eminence and Grace Archbishops, Bishops, Ganzibras, very Reverend Fathers, Presidents of political parties and associations, Maronite sisters, representatives of the printed and seen media, distinguished guests, colleagues, Professor Diane Speed, and friends, ladies and gentlemen. I am indeed extremely humbled and honored for what you have presented in the last couple of hours in my honor. I think you have seen some snippets of my academic journey, an academic journey, as I said, that spanned almost half a century. It took me to many places in the world. It enabled me to interact and collaborate with some very eminent scholars all over the world. I will not dwell anymore on this. But it's a journey that was full of very memorable events, functions, happenings, and so on. But it did also include some adventures, albeit minor ones. As I mentioned in the video that you saw, the greatest pleasure I had received as an Egyptian was in my home country, Egypt, to be honored in the 60s by President Gamal Abdel Nasser. What a wonderful occasion it was. Then my journey took me to Scotland at first. Only 2 weeks after I had landed in Scotland, it happened to be the feast or the Dhikra Robert Burns, a Scottish poet. Scots celebrate that occasion by having a meal with Scottish, that alcoholic drink, haggis. You know what haggis is? It's the stomach of the animal mixed with other things, and it is a delicacy in Scotland. I happened to be seated next to one of the most eminent scholars in biblical studies, Matthew Black, Professor Speed, a very eminent indeed scholar, who was the president, principal of St. Mary's College, the oldest theological college in Scotland. And Professor Black looked at me and said, "Do you know what haggis is?" I said, "Professor, I haven't got a clue." Then he said to me, "I'll tell you. Haggis is a bird. It has got 3 legs, 2 on one side and 1 on the other side. And it hops over in the highlands of Scotland, and people go and shoot it, and that's what you're having now. It's a delicacy." I was so gullible and innocent, of course, coming from the word of St. Matthew. Matthew Black is his name. I had to believe it. So I went round in St. Andrews telling friends and so on, how about going to the highlands in Scotland to shoot haggis and we eat it? They said to me, "Don't be daft. Haggis this is not a bird. I said to them, but look, it's Principal Matthew Black who told me that. They said, no, he's pulling your leg. He's pulling your leg, meaning he's teasing me. So I went around telling friends and colleagues, well, look, do you know that Egyptian people have 4 tonsils each? And that Egyptian camels have 4 humps? And believe me, there are still people in Scotland, in St. Andrews, who believe this. I've not since refuted it. I took my own back from Professor Matthew Black. He's passed away now. But I will dwell very briefly, because I don't want to bore you with many details, about some of my highlights of achievements. Just I ought to inform you of very briefly indeed while in Leeds. One of the most pleasant things that I have enjoyed on at least 6 occasions, that I was invited by a canon of the Church of England, a very close friend of mine, to attend the highest honor of the Garter ceremony in Windsor Castle, where the Queen resides. How can I forget that? On 6 occasions. Believe me, on some of these occasions I was sitting where perhaps Dr. Bahia Abu Hamad is sitting, and outside that door from Her Majesty the Queen and the Duke of Edinburgh. That's an occasion when Her Majesty honors Commonwealth Prime Ministers and High Commissioners to give them the Garter, which is the highest honor that Britain can endow someone with. Wonderful, wonderful memories. But I was collaborating with many eminent scholars. One of the things that I mentioned in the video, that I traveled to Skopje, where I was a guest of the United Nations, and there was a little adventure. I arrived on a Saturday, and who would be visiting Skopje on that day but President Tito, who was a great ally and friend of my President of Egypt, Gamal Abdel Nasser. The conference was due to start on Sunday. That was Saturday, so I went to a big store similar to David Jones here. I bought some souvenirs in a bag. I was standing in the corner waiting to have a look at President Tito. And then someone came and tapped me on the shoulder, who did not speak a word Arabic, Hebrew, Syriac, Aramaic, Phoenician, French, German, Spanish, what have you. He only spoke Serbo-Croatian. And my knowledge of Serbo-Croatian was limited to Dobar Dan, which means good day or something like that. And he took me straight to the nearest police station. In brief, I was arrested. I tried to explain to them in the best of the 10 or 15 languages that I can express myself in, but they left me there. I tried to explain to them that President Tito is friend of my President Gamal Abdel Nasser, non-allied, whatever it was then. Anyway, that was an adventure. But the Holy Quran says the following in Surah Al-Baqarah: وعسى أن تكرهوا شيئا وهو خير لكم وعسى أن تحبوا شيئا وهو شر لكم. Translated, but it is possible that you dislike a thing which is good for you and that you love a thing which is bad for you. The good thing that happened to me after being arrested in Skopje was that I traveled to Sarajevo, which had magnificent Arabic manuscripts. I got some photocopies of some of the manuscripts. I had no time then to read them. But then when I went back to Leeds, I made that big discovery that I talked about in the video, proving that the term baccalaureate is derived from Arabic بحق الرواية and not from the Latin term which means vaca, which means a cow, which means that Bachelor of Arts are cows. Some of them may be, but that's rubbish. Ever since then, the Oxford English Dictionary, the biggest reference about the English language, have changed their entry from vaca, which means a cow, to بحق الرواية. I, with my colleague, having published it in the Times, in Le Monde de l'Education, as I have said, in Al-Ahram, and in academic articles. That was the luck, as against the adventure that I endured. Very briefly, ladies and gentlemen, achievements while I was in Sydney. First thing I did when I occupied my chair at Sydney University back in 1979 was to work hard on top of my job at the university to introduce Arabic to this country where we are now. There wasn't a word taught anywhere in Arabic in Australia. It was only taught in a minor way at the University of Sydney. I worked on producing what is now 5 curricula or syllabuses that are taught not only in New South Wales but nationally. It's the national curriculum. To this end, we have, if Jihad Deeb was here, he would witness to that now as principal, one of the major schools, in about 40 Arabic day schools on top of the Saturday schools of Arabic. Nati has been mentioned and so on. I don't wish to bore you by other details, but it remains for me to thank you all very much indeed for having come to this event, and I would like to thank in particular a person that has worked very hard indeed, and I am a witness to that, to exert tremendous efforts to honor many Arabic-speaking people in Sydney and elsewhere in Australia. Egyptians, Syrians, Iraqis, Tunisians, be it musicians, poets, professors, and so on. This lady deserves a big clap for all the magnificent work she has been doing. Bahia, no words will be enough for me on behalf of my community, the Egyptian community, and if I dare say on behalf of all the Arabic communities in Australia, for the wonderful work you do to honor your fellow Arabic-speaking people for their achievements. Thank you very much indeed. I thank you in particular, and I'm indebted to you for what you have done today for me. I am indeed indeed very humbled and honored. I wish to thank all of you, and in particular the excellencies, the parliamentarians, the graces and so on of bishops and others for the awards that you have given me. I thank you particularly for having come to share at this event. I thank the Honorable Jihadib and the Honorable Shaukat Muslimani for the trouble they have taken also in arranging this function. And I conclude once more by thanking all of you for the honor that you have bestowed on me. Thank you very much.
A hard-working builder who's helped me throughout my life by building now a salon and enlarging the salon so it can contribute and welcome about 700 persons. We are building also a stage, a formal stage in my salon, and you are all welcome any time we do a function. I'd love to honor a young man, namely Tony Hanna. He is also a poet. And he improvises in English. He's Australian born, can't speak in Arabic, but he learned it from his father, I don't know how. And he improvises in Arabic. ما بيحكي عربي، خلقان بأستراليا بقول شعر. He says poetry in English and poetry in Arabic by improvising. Tony Hanna, thank you very much for all the help you bestowed upon all of us. You are a great poet. لو تسمح, let me present you with something, with an award to say thank you.
Thank you very much for everything. I got my blessing tonight from all of you here, especially the Bishop. I'll say one in Australian, the one I write. I write Australian poetry, also Lebanese. I taught myself both languages. And I never went to school to meet you. I didn't like school. I never ended up going to school, but I taught myself all what I done. Would you read it for me?
It hasn't got the glasses, okay. The school of this world, it has a different shine. Look for one where you can rest the body and the mind. You can live beneath the tree and learn what life is all about. Don't worry about the maiden. There's nothing beneath the ground. Learn to love and learn to care. Have respect and to be fair. Just be happy everywhere. Your all can be done and hand in hand. Today we are all here. Tomorrow life can end. Learn from me, I'll show you the way. Follow my future and be happy every day. Tony Hanna. Thank you. I said in Lebanese, but briefly, please.
I wrote that one last night because I thought I'll say something. I wish I could put on my glasses, but I could do it. It's horrible. كمان في الفنشة.
Okay.
انسأل
مرة شو بيكتبوا الشعر؟
انسأل مرة شو بيكتبوا الشعر. بيكتبوا الليل تا يصير نهار. وحياة عيون الكتاب والحضار بنكتب لحن تنرقص الأوتار. نكتب حزن تنودع الأبرار، نكتب حب بحرفين صغار، نكتب وطن تنجمع الأحرار، نكتب لغة عليها من غار، نكتب بهي اللي جامع الشعار. وشو صعبي علينا نكتب اللغات، تفينا مثلك يا رفعت نكرم الحضار. يا رفعت رفعت إيماني، ذكرتني بحروف نسياني. يا دكتور الحرف واللغات، كتابك سما حروفك تريات، جاي تكرمك بحروف أصداني. يا 26 يا 26 يا 26 ما أحلاك، روح خبر توني النسر غناك، جاي تقلك مساك النور ونشكر بهجي. الكلها ورد الكلها زهور، نشكر بهي لعن تكرم الدكتور. بشهر 7 شفت 7 بحور، جمعني الحظ بكتابك يا رفعت، وطيح لنهاري جمعني أنا وياك.
Professor, photographs. Now the function is being concluded. Thank you very much for your. Before you go, we haven't finished as yet. We are now at the presentation of the award. I'll be calling each and every person by the name. rather أحسن ما نضيع وقت، يعني كل شخص بعيط له أو بحكي اسمه يتفضل ياخذ الأورد موجودين ويتفضل يقدم له إياها للبروفيسور. Would you like Professor standing there please? توني النسر ممكن تاخذ فوتو مع البروفيسور please. I'll start by the Honorable David Clark. We have Mr. Fowler. The Honorable David Clark is a member of Legislative Council, Parliamentary Secretary for Justice, and a member of the Liberal Party. The Honorable Edmond Atalla. The award has been also presented to the Professor. Marmolotus Malki. Is anybody representing Sayyidina Malki today? Bishop Daniel Grace. You all register the take of taking photographs, please. His Grace Bishop Amber Daniel, Bishop of the Coptic Orthodox Church and Diocese of Sydney and its affiliated region. Dora, can you help us just hand in the awards, please? Thank you very much, Sayyidina Evloyite Despota. Rabna Yawafak. But Sayyidina, don't leave. I have something for you as well. Would you kindly take your seat? His Eminence Archbishop Basilios Kotsi, Metropolitan Archbishop of the Ethiopian Orthodox Archdiocese of Australia, New Zealand, Philippines and Dependency, represented today by Reverend Father and a lawyer, Fiqh Islami, Ijram, criminal lawyer, and also Islamic law, Reverend Afram Abbasi. Thank you very much, Father. Also call upon Mr. John Karam, Poet John Karam, representing His Excellency Father Superior Louis Al-Firq of Saint Charbel Monastery in Sydney to present the Professor with an award. We have also an award from His Majesty Mohammed bin Salman, the King of Saudi Arabia, represented by the Consul General of Saudi Arabia in Sydney. I have some reasons he hasn't come. The award was was prepared, but he has a reason, maybe stuck off his stage. But anyway, an award was issued by the King, with His Majesty King Mohammed bin Salman. Thank you very much, Saudi Arabia. And represented by His Excellency Mr. Salman Haza Al Mutaibi. Also, His Majesty the Abdullah II bin Al Hussein, King of the Hashemite of Kingdom Jordan, represented by His Excellency Dr. Ali M. Karishan, Ambassador of the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan, represented today by Mr. Jamal Ayash.
Dr. Rifaat, Your Amenities, ladies, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about heritage here, and I don't think you can find more heritage than in Jordan. So we've got one of the most oldest heritage in the world in Jordan. So Egyptian and Jordan. Egyptian and Jordan. All right. We have Al Patra, which is, I'm sure Professor Rifaat, he gave us a lot of informative information tonight. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with us as representing His Excellence, the Ambassador of Jordan, Dr. Ali Karishan, which is he couldn't be with us, but he conveys his regards to you, which is he represents His Majesty King Abdullah II from the Hashemite Kingdom of Jordan. Thank you very much. Thank you, Dr. Bahia, being with us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, His Majesty King Abdullah II bin Hussein. Thank you very much, Jordan. Again, the Council of the Arab Ambassadors, His Excellency Mr. Nabil Al-Akhal, Ambassador of Tunisia. Yani, in other words, all kings of the Arab world have presented an award for Professor Ebied, but the award will be tendered and presented to the professor on the 8th of August next week, next Wednesday in Canberra, including the United Arab Emirates and including the Kingdom of Morocco. Now we have the General Delegation of Palestine in Australia and New Zealand and the Pacific. His Excellency is at the General Delegation of Palestine in Australia, New Zealand and the Pacific. His Excellency Mr. Izzat Abdul Hadi, Ambassador of the General Delegation of Palestine in Australia and New Zealand, represented today by Mr. Al-Shawish. Thank you very much. Again, Professor Rifaat Ebied was honored as well by His Excellency Mr. Maher Al-Dabbagh, Honorary Consul of Syria in Australia. The consul arrived yesterday night in Sydney, and the award is preserved to be tendered and presented to the professor at his chambers. Again, the Lebanese, the Syndicate of Lebanese Poets in Lebanon, the poet. Yeah. To be presented to Professor, this poet, and the award it's on behalf of the Lebanese government. It was published in the Lebanese Zajal journal and circulated throughout the whole libraries by the Syndicate of Poets. Thank you very much, Lebanon. Professor Diane Spade, Dean and Chief Executive Officer of Sydney College of Divinity. Professor Spade has already presented the award for the Professor Ebied and a card as well. Thank you very much, Professor. Now we have the Egyptian Women Association, Mrs. Rose Sorial. Mrs. Sorial was very sick yesterday, became very sick. She got the bad flu, and we have her representative, Nadia Fawzi, to represent the professor with an award on behalf of the Egyptian Women Association. Thank you very much, Egypt. Thank you very much, Egypt, always very generous to us. Thank you. Sayyidina Malachus Malki, I have a representative here on his behalf, and but the award was not presented to me. Thank you very much. Lastly but not least, Prophet Shab al-Baini as well presented an award to the professor, and he's left us and he decided. Now, how can I thank professor? أنا ما أقدرش ألاقي كلمات تعبر. أنا بتكلم مصري كويس؟ مش عارفة. The professor, yeah, she will. But after we finish the professor is a pebble of the word, pebble of the alphabet, a man of rare quality and unique presence. It gives me great pleasure and pride to present the professor with an award from Lebanon, which I carried from Lebanon. It's copper from Lebanon, wood from the cedar, and to be given to a pyramid from Egypt. Professor Rifaat Ebied, هرم مصر شامخ في أستراليا يقدم له أرز لبنان. Thank you. بدي أخبركم سر صغير. أنا فت على قصر عابدين وقصر الخديوي وقعدت أسرق أفكار. بروفيسور، خلينا نشوف الأبورد. Can we see it please? الخديوي أكيد ألماظ وذهب وما بقى. أنا عندي بلاستيك، ما بعرف كيف إني. دول القمح معناتها الإنتاج، الريبرودكشن. الإنتاج من الملك فاروق، دي في القصر الملك فاروق. بالإذن من السفير اوعى don't report me. Don't report me. الكوبا من لبنان والأرز من لبنان وكل حاجة، بس الأفكار كانت من عند الملك فاروق. Thank you very much. We have an energetic consul, deputy consul general. No matter what I say, I cannot thank consul general, deputy consul general Mohammed Fargal. He is a brother to us, a friend. I cannot describe. I'm a lot of words. He's always with us. He's down to earth. He loves us. Help us. Call us. We call. He responds. Consul Mohammed Fargal, you are a great asset and a precious icon from Egypt. اسمح لي لك اليوم بتشكرك من كل قلبي، وربنا يوفقك بكل أعمالك، وإن شاء الله بتصير سفير رافع، ترفع اسم مصر للمجد. ربنا يوفقك، واسمح لي أقدم لك أود صغير. I need to thank the MC. He was always with me, helping me throughout my journey with literature and heritage. Dr. Emil Shidja, Professor Shidja, he's always been helpful to me, and I thank him for all the help he's done. Thank you, Dr. Shidja. He may come again. Thank you. Your Grace, سيدنا بلويتي ديسبوتا برخمور شكوني، ربنا يوفقك وطول بعمرك سيدنا. اسمح لي أقدم لك غرض صغير من لبنان بليز، لأنه ساعتنا كل عمرك تساعدنا وتوقف معنا وتباركنا. Thank you very much سيدنا، ربنا يطول بعمرك. We have as well a bishop from the Mandai religion. First time he's contributing to our functions. Thank you very much. Would love to present you as well with something, a gift from Lebanon. the lady from the Women Association, Egypt Women Association. Nadia, تفضل.
Good afternoon, and I'm sorry I can't keep up with all the words it says about Dr. Ebied. I can't match that at all. I'm here. My name is Nadia Fawzi. My name is Nadia Fawzi, and I'm here on behalf of the Australian Women Association. I'm in a committee. Rose, she should be here, but she's been sick. She's been in bed for last week, and we just appreciate Dr. Ebied for the last 50 years of his work, and that's why I am here for Mrs. Rosaria. And thank you very much for all your work you've done here in Egypt and in all over the world. Thank you very, very much.
Representative of the Consul General of Iraq, I'd love to present you with something. Iraq's been always generous to us. I'd love to present you with something from Lebanon. مين بيعرف أم كلثوم؟ سيد أم كلثوم. مين بيعرف عازف تشيلو الموسيقار مجدي فؤاد بولس؟ حدا سمع الأطلال؟ مين بيحب حدا اليوم؟ اللي بده يحب حدا وعنده عشق يسمع الأطلال، يسمع عزف الموسيقار الكبير مجدي فؤاد بولس اللي أغنى مصر بالعزف الجميل مع سيدة أم كلثوم بالعصر الجميل والعصر الذهبي. استاذ مايسترو بولس، اسمح لي نقدم لك شيء من لبنان. ثانك يو. Professor Diane, first time with us. Thank you very much for all the help you bestowed upon us. Let me present you something from Lebanon as well. أجلاء الكهنة ما تروحوش حكم. Reverend Fathers, would you please advance, come here, under the flags, again, a precious gift from Lebanon. Thank you very much for all the help and all the blessings today. Thank you very much.
أحبها من كل روحي ودمي مصر التي في خاطري وفي فمي أحبها من كل روحي ودمي. أحبها من كل روحي ودمي مصر التي في خاطري وفي فمي أحبها من كل روحي ودمي. يا ليت كل مؤمن بعزها يحبها بني الحمى والوطن من منكم يحبها مثلي أنا
نحبها من روحنا ونفتديها بالعزيز الأكرم من عمرنا وجهدنا من عمرنا وجهدنا.
مصر التي في خاطري وفي فمي أحبها من كل روحي ودمي. مصر التي في خاطري وفي فمي أحبها من كل روحي ودمي. يا ليت كل مؤمن بعزها يحبها حبي لها. بني الحمى والوطن من منكم يحبها مثلي أنا مثلي أنا.
نحبها من روحنا ونفتديها بالعزيز الأكرم من عمرنا وجهدنا من عمرنا وجهدنا.
عيشوا كراما تحت ظل العالم تحيا لنا عزيزة في الأمم. عيشوا كراما تحت ظل العالم تحيا لنا عزيزة في الأمم. أحبك لظل